Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So we're on Daf Tezvav. Right, it's Daf Tezvav. So yesterday we had a Mishnah about a pause in a Nazirus, that he accepted a Nazirus when the son is going to be born, and another Nazirus. Mishnah said it depends which order he did it, but there's such a thing as pausing in a Nazirus. He started keeping the amount that he's supposed to keep, and then he pauses, puts it on hold, and continues with another Nazirus, and then goes back to the first one. And the Mishnah continues with the same idea over here. Yesterday the case was that he said it's going to be a Nazir when I have a son, and also a regular Nazir, a Nazir of 30 days. Here the case is 100 days. So there's the two pshatim in the Mishnah over here. Most of the Rishonim learn one way, and we'll try to learn the Rambam's pshat. The Rambam seems to be different than everybody else. Maybe there's a Gersa change also, but yesterday we said that the person who accepted, he started in Nazirus, and then when his son was born, he had to pause his Nazirus in order to do the Nazirus that he had accepted because of his son. So when he finishes, he has to be mashlim, whatever he's missing from his Nazirus. But the case over there was that the whole Nazirus was only 30 days. And if he did whatever he did before the son was born, let's say 20 days, and then he makes Afsakah to do the son's Nazirus, and he has 10 days that he owes, and he has to finish off the 10 days. So he mentioned, as a Dava Pasha yesterday, that he surely has to have 30 days of Gidul Seyo. He has to have here in order to be able to do the Teglachas. So he's going to finish the Nazirus after 10 days, 20, and then a 30, and then he's going to do another 10 to finish off his own Nazirus, but he still has to finish 20 days more of not cutting his hair in order to get the Teglachas, which the Gemara called yesterday Gidul Seyo, the days that he has to let his hair grow long in order to get a Teglachas. And here the Mishnah is going to explain that halacha. That's what it seems. The Pashup Sham, maybe the Rambam, not everybody learns like that. But here the case was that he said, I'm a Nazir when I have a son, and I'm also a Nazir for 100 days. And he started the Nazirus right away. His Nazirus of 100 days, he started right away. No, the lo ben ad shivin lo hifsid klum. If his son was born until day 70, so he doesn't lose. What does it mean he doesn't lose? He's not going to have to do more than the two Nazirus, because he's going to do this. He did 70 or less, then he stops for the 30 that his son was born, and then he finishes off until 100.
After the full year. Am I getting it right?
No, year over here. There's
100 days, I'm sorry. So 70.
He finishes off the 100 days, which is going to be the Hashlama. So he had altogether, he did 100 days for himself, and he did 30 days for his son. And his 100 days was divided before and after. He doesn't lose anything. But if the son was born after 70, and he has to stop, let's say, after 80. So now he stops and does the Nazirus for his son. So the word here, Soser Shivim, we're not going to read Soser Shivim. He's not going to take down 70 days. But it's Soser Ad Shivim. Put in the word Ad. Soser Ad Shivim, which means that anything he did more than 70 days is not going to help him, because when he's going to have to do Teglachas afterwards, he has to have a 30 days of hair growth. So if, for instance, he had done 80 days of his Nazirus, then his son was born, and then he does 30 days. So he only has 20 days left that he has to fill in. But it's not going to be enough, because he has to have a hair growth of 30 days. So he's going to have to do 10 days extra. That means that anything that he did more than the 70 days is undone. Soser ad shivim. If the son was born later than 70, he's gonna undo anything that he had done more than 70. If the son was born, let's say after 2 days, 72, so then the 2 days didn't help him anything. Anything above 70 didn't help him because he's gonna have to complete 30 days after the son's Nazirus. So those two, he has to do 30 days. So the fact that he did 72, it didn't help him, those two. He's gonna have to do another 30. So it ends up that he did, instead of 130, he's gonna end up doing 132. So the way we explain the Mishnah, this is the Rambam's pshat, more or less, it seems. Very different than the other Rishonim. Other Rishonim had a pshat that's going to say very, very different. That he's not going to have to count for his sons, and for him he's going to gain, that he's going to count for both simultaneously. He'll be able to do both of these years at the same time. But we're not going to go with that pshat if it's okay. And the Rambam just says that the issue is if he's going to, the fact that he has to have tiglachas of 30 days, so whatever he did more than 70 days, is not gaining from that because he's going to have to do it afterwards because of the tiglachas. Really, the Mishnah could have kept with this, with the case of yesterday's Mishnah, the simple case, not a nazir of 100 days. Nazir of 100 days, sometimes he doesn't lose because if he has 30 days left, so he didn't lose anything. Everything until, if he did Nazirus until 70 days, less than 70 days, anyway, he has 30 plus days after, so he didn't lose anything. The Mishnah is telling you that it's possible not to lose. But the case that Mishnah spoke about yesterday, that he only accepted upon himself a regular Nazirus, Arani Nazir Kisheli Ben, the Nazir Stam, 30 days, and then always he's gonna lose because whatever he did afterwards, he's gonna have to, after the son is born, he's gonna have to do a full 30 days. So he didn't gain from the days that he did before. True? So this Mishnah is just saying that sometimes he's not gonna lose because if the Nazirus was, for instance, 100, and it's possible for him to have 30 days left anyway, if he didn't have more than 70 days before the Nazirus of his son. So he has at least 30 days after the Nazirus of his son. So he didn't he didn't lose anything. But Anachanami, if he did pass the 70 mark, and he's gonna have less than 30 to go until 100, so that's not gonna gain him anything. He's gonna have to do it again because he's not gonna have 30 days of hair growth.
The eight is 100?
What?
What's the eight?
He has a sum total of 100.
Right.
And the point of the Mishnah is to say that after he does his son's Nazirus,
Yeah.
someplace in the middle,
Right,
and he cuts his hair for that, he does the korban for the son,
right.
and then he has to finish off, he has to have at least 30 days afterwards.
Because the break in between, because he already
He cut his hair, then he has to cut his
so
hair again, he
needs
has to have another 30 days.
34
So-
days in that 100.
After in order to finish up his, even if he finished up his 100, it wouldn't help him. He would have done 90 days before the son was born. And then the
10
son is
days.
born, he owes 10 days, but it's not gonna be enough 10 days. He's gonna have to do 30 days afterwards because he has to have the hair growth of 30 days. So anything that he did more than 70 is not going to help him. If once the 70 days came and the son wasn't born, everything he's continuing to do now is not gonna help him. He probably has to do it. He can't stop. He has to do it because he made himself a nazir for 100 days. He can't stop. But it's not gonna help him because anyway, after the son is born and he's gonna keep the 30 days of the son and he's gonna want to finish off whatever he still owes.
From that.
Anyway, he's gonna have to do 30 because even though he owes less than 30 days, he did more than 70, so he owes less than that.
Outside of the gather of 100 days, because
So he's gonna have to do more than 100 days. He ends up doing more than 100 days.
And that's not, and that therefore his whole Nazir is bucket.
No,
It wasn't
no.
real.
No, everything was real. He did as many days as he did. He did 90 days before. And then his son was born, he did another 30 days for his son. And now he has to do 10 more days afterwards, and everything's real. But he has to continue another 20 days because he has to have a 30-day slot.
So
in
what we're
order to
saying
be
is
able to
that
get another
either
say.
way, wherever he gets in that 100-day period, he's got to do another 30 days at the end of it.
Yes, but sometimes he doesn't have to do more than he would have had to if the son
If
was
the son
born
didn't come in the middle.
within 70 days.
Within the 7.
Because
Well,
then he
well,
has
that's-
more than 30 days left,
Gotcha.
30 days or more left anyway. So the way we learned it, it sounds pretty simple. And we could have said all this really yesterday already, that if he had, since he doesn't have enough left after the Nazirus for 30 days hair growth, so he has to do that anyway, 30 days afterwards. But the Mishnah said a case where it's going to have, sometimes he is going to lose, sometimes he's not going to lose, but the Yesod is not a new, it's not a revolutionary Yesod. It's the point that he has to have 30 days of hair growth after.
Well, that's, the cloud is that 30 days is the required amount of time that a person has to have before he can do the, what's it called?
Tiglachas.
Tiglachas.
Okay. Again, the standard of if you can hear or listen, if you can hear or share on on any other share online, they're not gonna say this. They're gonna say a different shot altogether. But this is the Rambam.
Gives a message.
Right.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Okay. I just put in the word over here, Ad Shivim, put in the word here, Ad Shivim.
Is it what the Rambam does? He adds
I think so, yeah, that's the guess of the Rambam, Ad Shivim. And it means whatever he did more than 70, whatever, anything more than 70, it doesn't count for him. Because he's gonna have to do it again. Okay. Amar Rav, Yom Shivim Ola Lakan Lakan. Day 70 counts for both. He started doing his own Nazirus. He has 100 day Nazirus to pay. And he started doing, and he got to day 70. And the child was born on day 70. That counts for both. Both is his 70, and also the day 1 that he's doing for his son, 30. It counts for both. On his calendar, he puts that count in 70 days. And he also counts it as day number 1 for his son's Nazirus.
That's mutar?
Yes. Now, the truth is that we knew this, we seem to have known this because we had a Gemara before that brought down the Mishnah at the beginning of the 3rd parak, which we're going to see tomorrow. And it says whenever somebody has 2 Naziruyos, so the day counts for both. The day in between counts for both. We had this concept already before. Mixas Yom Kikulo, it sounded like. And if a person has 2 Nazirios back to back, so he doesn't have to do the same way on the first day that a person starts Naziros. He doesn't have to have abstained from the beginning of the day. In the middle of the day, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he says, I'm a Nazir, that's day 1. He puts down it and he doesn't drink wine, that's called day 1. On the
In the
last
morning, he was finishing the previous.
so if he has back-to-back 2
Whatever it
Naziros,
was.
so that last day will count as the end of the previous Naziros and also the first day of the next Naziros. We have that concept. But
when is he a chance to do the korban for the sons, for the middle one?
So he does it on the last day, and
He has to fill-
so we had a machlokes bar pada, and I forgot about Rav Masna. If the Nazirus is really 29 days, and day 30 is the day of the Kabbalah, so the Nazirus is day 30. The Chatchila should wait to day 31, not to bring the Kabbalah till after the next day. So over there it said that the Chatchila, when a person had 2 Nazirus, it's going to see tomorrow's Mishnah. If you had 2 Nazirus back to back, so the Chatchila he should bring the Kabbalah on day 31, and then the second one will be day 61. And if he did it on the Mishnah is going to say if he did it on day 30, so then that's the Mishnah that had the concept already. But for some reason, our Gemara is making it sound like it's Rav's Chiddush, and Tosfos is going to tell us how come this sugya is different than that regular sugya. Here in our Gemara, Rav's the one who said it, and this is a big Chiddush, and the Gemara is going to challenge him and say the Mishnah is not whole like that.
What's the Chiddush?
That you say Yom Shivim Ola Lakan Ola Lakan. Day 70, that's between which is day 70 of his own Nazirus. He has 100 day Nazirus to do, and he is counting his Nazirus, and he got up to day 70, and the son was born, and he's going to start his son's Nazirus. That day 70 could count for both. Not
That's the 70th day and the first.
right, 70th day of his, and he puts it on hold because he has to finish it after the son is going to finish the 30 days of his son. Then he's going to continue day 71, 72, 73, but he has 70 days, even though day 70 was also counted as day 1 for the other Nazirus. And that seems to be a standard. It doesn't seem like such a
And
big
then,
difference.
and then the 30th day, which is the 71st day. The 30th day for the son will then become the first 71st day.
Right, it could be, yes, yes.
Should be, yeah.
And that is not such a chiddush. The chiddush, this is more of a, that's what Tosfos says, that what we're going to see tomorrow, that it's going to be a double portion in the Mishnah is that a day could count for both. Between 2 Nazirus, it's not a chiddush. The Rav here is saying some big chiddush that the Gemara is going to challenge. And just to fast forward a little bit, today's day is going to happen. Rav said this statement, Yom Shiv Mola Lakan Lakan. The Gemara is going to attack him from our Mishnah. The Mishnah does not hold like him. The Gemara is going to have to find somebody else. The Rav holds like somebody else. The Mishnah is against Rav, and Rav come on over the Shmaite. Where's Rav hold like? First, the Gemara is going to try Abba Shol. Then the Gemara is going to say no. Abba Shol is not a proof. Then the Gemara will find Rabbi Yossi, and that the Gemara will stay with, even though it's not proven. But he called all like Rabbi Yossi. That's a summary, not a summary. That's like the highlights, the headlines of today's sugya. That Rav said a chiddush in our Mishnah. Rav said a chiddush that day 70 counts for either way, for both. And the Gemara challenges him that the Amish doesn't hold like that. And the Gemara is going to look around for who Rav does hold like. Even though, as we just finished saying, that the Mishnah is coming up tomorrow, is going to say many, many times that between two Naziros, as like Yaakov said now, between the end of one Naziros and the beginning of the next Naziros, you do say Ola Lakan. So what's Rav such a big Kiddush over here that he says that day 70 Ola Lakan? So there's a Tosfos over here. Maybe others say it also, but Tosfos by me over here, it's more or less where they go in the corner over here. This is 2 lines before it spreads. Maybe to highlight it. What's the whole Gemara talking about? It's a Mishnah coming up on the next page. It says down the Kaman, which is tomorrow's daf. But also we brought a bit above. It says Yom Shloshim. Ola Miksaso Levishin. Miksaso the Nazirus Sheni. That's seems to be the same subject. So what's different about the whole Gemara, the whole day today? We're talking about if you say that one day can count for 2, do you say Miksaso Yom Kikulo? It's a Mishnah tomorrow and everything's fine. And here Gemara made a big tumult about it and says our Mishnah don't hold like that. Tosfos answers that when he finishes a Nazirus and he starts a new Nazirus, then it's not a Chiddush, that Ola Lakan, because it's finished. The Nazirus that he finished is finished like day 30. That is finished and it's over. It means the Karbanis, it's Mamish Nigmar, then it's not a Chiddush that it's finished and you can start another one on the same day. That's not a Chiddush. But the Chiddush is going to be here. Here, he's not finishing. Here, he's putting it on pause. He's in the middle of 100-day Nazirus. He did so far till day 70. He's still in the middle. And he's not bringing any Karbanis because he's still in the middle. And we're going to start another Nazirus of the sun to say over there, Ola Lakan, that's Rav's Chiddush. And that the Gemara is making a challenge. That the Gemara is not going to be happy with.
Because if he started a new one, maybe that wouldn't count as the 70th day. Maybe he would only have.
He can't count it for
69.
both, right?
He
can't
may
count
only
it
have
for both.
69 days.
Right, and now day 1 of the
Day
sun
one,
is
they
day
could-
1, and they
and
only
then
write down 69 on your calendar. And the different, that's what he says over here. That's to read the Tosfos inside, if we may. First white line. Yeshlomer, the Shana Yasam, Dosa Yom Ben Shtein Nazirus. The day over there coming up between the 2 Nazirus is the day, the V'roi Lachshivot, Chilas of Nazirus Mishon, the stuff of the Nazirus Sheni. But there makes sense to count the beginning of the day for the last Nazirus and the end of the day for the coming Nazirus. Mishum the Chivah Devi Kabanosa, he finished the first Nazirus. In Kain Nigman Naziruso, his mom is finished. And then Shaskel Nazirus Sheni, and it's no problem that he should be able to start the next one. The same way that any person that he wakes up in the middle of the day and wants to become a Nazir doesn't have to have abstained from the beginning of the day. Immediately have a makabel Nazirus b'chatzi hayom. Those say yom atzmo ola lemenya Nazirus. That a person became a Nazir in the middle of the day. That's day 1. Aval hacha the yom leida the hainu 71 omed be'emsa Nazirus. The day is still in the middle. He did finish his Nazirus. And it's not of Ascholas Nazirus the gray here. The Gemara it's a little different than you said. You said that it's 69 don't count. He says the other way. You should say Roi Lachshiva Kulo Nazirus the day. He should just count it as day 70, and the sun's Nazirus he should have to count from tomorrow. He doesn't say just count 69. On day 70, the day the sun was born, you shouldn't count because this day has been counted already as day 70
So
for.
a different opinion. It's not the opinion that this is kind of the kind.
I'm saying why the Gemara that's what I'm saying, that the Gemara is challenging Rav. Rav said that it's all the Lakan, day 70. That's a little different than Leib Yaakov said. Yaakov said when the Gemara is challenging Rav, it's going to challenge that it should not count for day 70.
I don't quite understand. Wasn't the boy born on the 70th day?
Right. So 70th day.
So why is he waiting? If he said he's going to be a Nazir when he's born,
Right,
how can you
because
wait? How
because
can you
today
delay it a day?
he's not. He's doing it as soon as possible. But but this morning, this day has been already counted for Zeros. He can't count it for the
It already
sun's
started. It kicked in 7.
in the morning. The sun shone, so the sun was not born yet. So the sun, the SON was
The
not born.
SUN was born and the SON was not.
So he's
So the
this
7th day kicked in
and it counts
now
for
he has
his
to wait for
Naziris.
that day to
Right.
finish.
So and you
It doesn't-
can't.
it doesn't go after Ma'ariv at night.
Maybe
Kicks in at
it
night.
goes after night. Maybe at night. Maybe the day is already counted the 70 day because at night already the moon, not the sun. So the moon
they
came
would say
before the sun was
He's got
born.
70 days, but the first day can't start until the next day.
Right. So that's the main point I'm just trying to point out is that we're going to say, we said many times, that we're going to say many times that although it's not such a chiddush, and here the Gemara makes a big deal out of it. So the pshat that is said is that Here, he didn't finish the Nazirus, it's on pause. And that's a chiddush to say all the time, all the time. Again, the case was that he said, I'm going to be a son when my son is born, and another 100 days from now, and he started, and then his son was born. Rav says that the day that the son is born counts for both. It counts as a day for the father's count, which is on pause now, and it also counts for day one of the son, and that's going to be a big chiddush.
Isn't it because he said both of them at the same time? He made the neder on the 100 days and he already proclaimed that the 30 days is gonna come in between. So isn't that gives it almost power? As opposed to two
Doesn't-
separate things?
I don't think so.
You know,
The nafkamina would be that Rav would be finished a day earlier.
Yeah, Rav's coming to say that you should know that when he counts, the counting would be,
He's gonna end
he
up
has
finishing
day
a day
70
earlier.
and he has day one, yeah. The day that the son, he finishes the sons, that the place says that will be partial, that accounts for both. The day that he finishes the sons, the 30th day of the son, then it also could be the first day that he's gonna resume after the pause, he's gonna resume. So that's not a chiddush that accounts for both. But the chiddush is that day 70, which is in the beginning of the pause, and it means he didn't,
Because both sides, part of it is a whole day.
right, that's what I'm
When he
saying.
finished.
When he finishes,
finished
it's
the
not a
30th
chiddush.
day,
Right, that's
you
not a,
don't
that's
have to
the
wait
place
till the
that,
day's over to
right,
finish up.
right.
So that part of it is already, and if you start later in the day, part of
Right.
it is a whole day.
And that's not a chiddush, but the
That's
chiddush is over here that he's not finishing really because he's not bringing kavanas. It's day 70, he has to go on another 30 days still to get to his 100. So that's a chiddush that Rav says that's also all the lakan. We'll continue with this pshat. I just want to point out that what I'm saying that it's a unique pshat. This is the Rambam's pshat. That other Mefarshim, they say a whole different pshat just to give a little glimpse of what the other pshat is. They're going to say that that there's a chiddush over here that he doesn't have to count 130. He's going to use the 30 of the son's count. Is going to count even for his 100. He's going to gain a lot. I'm just talking about the one day between the way I'm saying the pshat. But they learned the pshat. The other pshat that Rishonim learned is that we're talking about a new chiddush that all the lakan that you could use many days.
His 30 days.
The whole 30 days for the son might count for the
30
son.
of the.
As the 100.
So I didn't look into that pshat at all. I'm just going with the Rambam's pshat. I think that maybe it's easier.
That's against Resh Lakish. Resh Lakish said that the king is on blood. Yesterday. It's
Okay, let's put it aside if it's okay. So that's how Rav said over here that day 70 all lakan. Maybe we can juggle that later. This other pshat. I just want to mention it that here in the Daf Yomi share shouldn't see
so
that.
much.
Where are we coming from? But we're learning simple l'chora. Okay. Now the Gemara has a kasha from our Mishnah. The Gemara is going to show that our Mishnah doesn't like Rav. Rav's trying to say in our Mishnah that day 70. By the way, day 70 is not after day 70. It's going to be any day before less than 70, any day that he changes over from his count to go to the son's count will be all the lakan. Tanan, no lo ad shivim lo hivzit klum.
Let me make it bigger.
Oh, yes, thank you. I didn't pay attention.
Okay.
Yeah, Tanan. So now we're gonna ask a kasha on Rav. It says in our Mishnah, right here, no lo ad shivim lo hivzit klum. If the son was born within the 70 days, so he doesn't lose anything because whatever he counted, then he's gonna do the son's count, and then he's gonna finish off. He doesn't have to add any more days because he has anyway 30 days of hair growth after he finishes with the son. If you're right, is Gure Misgar. He doesn't only not lose, he gains. That's the concept, that he gains. That he could use the same one day for two.
That's right.
If it would have been two separate, let's say the son wasn't born until after 100. After a couple of days. So then he has to do a full 100 and a full 30. And now that he has one day that he's changing over in middle, so he's not only not losing, he's even gaining because he's not going to do 130, he's going to do 129.
Right, so the whole thing's gonna come out.
So if Rav's right, that
It
he
says-
can,
I'm sorry, who said he doesn't?
the Mishnah says he doesn't lose. And
he
the kasha
doesn't
is, according to
lose.
Rav, he even gains. Not only doesn't he lose, what does it
He
mean he doesn't
wears
lose?
those garments,
That he gains.
he gains.
Like Agar, Scar, he even
Oh,
gains.
scar,
If you say that he could use 1 day for 2, so not only doesn't he lose, he even gains. But the more,
We're talking about gaining that he has less days.
right, that's called a gain, right? Losing means he has to
I
do
thought
more
we-
days. He loses days. Losing means he has to count more days. Losing days means he has to count more days. And we said that he's gonna lose. What is he gonna lose? The Mishnah is gonna say that if the son was born late, past 70, so then he's anyway gonna have to do 30 days afterwards to have the hair growth. So he's losing. He counted more than he had to.
Uh-huh.
But here he didn't lose. But the more is asking, not only didn't he lose, he even gained because you're saying that he's allowed to use 1 day for 2.
For both.
The Gemara says the answer in about 3 lines, but in short, and the words are not so easy over here, but the Rishonim say that that's what it must mean, that it really means to say that he even gains. But since we talked about losing, means the Mishnah is contrasting one case where he doesn't lose and one case where he does lose. So it's going to say that if it was born after 70, so then he does lose because whatever he has to make up 30 days of hair growth afterwards. So it just keeps consistent. So when it says it could have said that this case he gains, this case he loses. But since it's going to talk about losing, so in contrast, it says he doesn't lose. The opposite of losing is not to lose. So it keeps consistent. The words don't seem to be so clear saying that. That's how the Rishonim that the Gemara means. You have to put in a couple of et ceteras. Ela bedin, this is the answer. Ela bedinhu de lo lisni ad shivim. Really, it shouldn't have said that you have to get et cetera. You have to put in et cetera over here. It shouldn't say that he doesn't lose. Ad shivim, he doesn't lose. After the word shivim, ad shivim lo hifsik klum. It shouldn't say lo hifsik klum. It should have really said he gains. But mishum diktani seifa acha shivim soser shivim. Since it's going to say soon that in a certain case even loses, katani reisha shivim. That's why he says in the reisha that he doesn't lose. So the words don't say that so much. You have to keep on putting in et ceteras, three et ceteras.
Okay.
After,
After?
let me just make a little mark over there where you put in et cetera each time.
Mishum Ketana Sefer.
Let's see, shivim. When we sham the tani yasefa, acha shivim soser shivim.
So the next one?
Not this. The tani reisha shivim over here also. Here's an et cetera and here's an et cetera. Whenever it says shivim, it means he doesn't lose. Really, you shouldn't say that until he doesn't lose. But because it says in the sefer that he does lose, soser, he loses. That's why the reisha says shivim, he does not lose. Whenever it says shivim, it's only the beginning. Here it says ad shivim lo hifsik klum. These are the words over here of ad shivim lo hifsik klum. Whenever it says shivim, it means another way of saying lo hifsik klum. So here when it says shivim, put in the word lo hifsik klum. Here when it says shivim, put in lo hifsik klum. In English, we would say that really, what's the kasha? It shouldn't say that he doesn't lose. It should have said that he gains. You're right. It shouldn't say he doesn't lose. He doesn't lose. But soon it's going to say that in a case where he does lose, that's why it says that he does not lose. But really, it means to say that he gains also.
Mhm.
Not bad. Okay. So we tried to knock down Rav. We didn't knock down Rav. Rav still says that day 70 counts for both the father and the son. Tashmami Seifa. The Gemara is going to still knock down Rav because the Mishnah doesn't say that. Because it says no, let Acha Shivim Sosa Shivim. That's the end of the Mishnah. That if the son was born after 70, so then he loses everything that he did more than 70. So Ad Shivim. Everything that he counted past 70 doesn't help him anything. And he loses that because he's going to have to count again after the 30 of the sun is over in order to get the 30 days hair growth. He's going to have to do it again.
Meaning the whole 100.
Whatever he did more than 70 doesn't help him.
Because he's gonna have to do 30 the first.
Oh, you still gotta do.
Whatever he did till 70
Right,
does
so
help
if he
him.
does it, yeah.
Whatever he did more than 70
You say it
doesn't help.
doesn't help him, I'm still not getting.
Doesn't help him means that it doesn't help that he did it because you have to do it again anyway. He did 75.
Right, so that
And-
5 is worthless.
Right, because he's going to have to do anyway 30 at the end. He has to 25 times. He's going to have to do 30. So whatever he did after 70 doesn't help.
70 doesn't count.
And that's supposed to be a kasha. No, that Acha Shivim, so says Shivim, is supposed to be a kasha. Means it says that if he was born on 71, Acha Shivim. It says still says after 70. It means if he's born on 71, so he loses. Is that true? Does he lose?
He's gonna have to do an extra day, so it's called losing.
Right. So the
That's
oh,
what
you're
it
right.
says.
So you
Right. That's what
said
it's not. But some Chavush said up shot. I'm not sure if the Rishonim say it or not, that if the son would have been born after 150 days, 120 days, whatever, he did 100 full days, and then the son still wasn't born. And then a couple of days later, the son is born. He has to do
Mazel
30
tov.
days.
Yeah.
Mazel tov, and there's 30 days. So there's 130.
Yeah.
So in this case of 71, how many is he going to count if the son is born on day 71?
131.
Is that true?
Well,
No, 130.
we're going according to, are we saying like
Right.
Rav?
If Rob is right.
If Rav is right,
So he counted.
71st day is the first day,
So it's 71,
is one.
and it's also
It's gonna
one.
be 100.
It's going to be 100,
It's gonna be 130.
130. You want to explain it to everybody?
If the 71st day is.
And to
when the
me
son-
also.
if the 71st day was the day that the boy was born. And that's the day that he starts counting for the boy.
And he
It's
puts for
also the
himself.
day that we counted as 71 for
Himself.
himself. So then we have 71 and 1, and we're gonna get up to 130. It's gonna be the same day.
When you get up
Right, so you
to,
got
130. You're gonna get up to
3 days,
130.
You counted twice.
70 to
71 and
71st day.
71.
Yeah, but it's a
71st
it's
day.
counted,
Day after.
it's counted as day 71,
And one,
and it's also counted as day one.
right, so he's gonna, after he finishes the 100, he's only gonna have 29 days more to go for the 129.
So we did
That's not
71.
31.
So it's good. So it's gonna be 71 plus-
He's
Plus
gonna-
29.
Plus 29.
plus,
30.
Plus
Plus
30.
30.
Plus
71 plus
Plus
30.
71 plus 30,
No,
71 plus,
71 plus 29 is 100.
it's 100.
It's 100 and then
Then
another
30.
30.
so there's no difference if it would have been two separate counts, a full 100 and a full 30, it also would have been 130. So why does the Mishnah say that if he's born on day 71, he loses?
Right.
He doesn't lose more than it would if it would have been two separate counts.
Right.
It's true that there's difference between day 70 and day 71, because on day 70, he doesn't have to count extra because he has 30 days of hair growth. But even if he's born on 71, he also doesn't do more than 130.
I don't think I said it right.
I think you did. That usually the difficulty in the Gemara is that what do you mean that he doesn't lose? If it would have been a day earlier,
Here it
on
says
day
he does
7,
lose, right?
right? The kasha is he shouldn't lose. On day 71, Rav, you won't say that he loses. Of course, he loses more than if it would have been on the day before. Till day 70, he's okay because he has 30 days of hair growth anyway. He doesn't have to add anything on afterwards. But if Moses is asking that there would be no difference if he would have counted 100 separately and 30 separately, here also, even if it's day 71, he also does not end up counting more than 130. You want to say it again or differently?
Well, I thought if it's the 71st day, his Naziris is on hold, right?
And he has 71 days taken care of,
So that means he has 29 left.
29 left to go.
And now he counts 30 for the boy,
But that 30 is only 29
30 more.
because day 71 also counts for the son also.
Yeah.
So besides day 71, he's going to count another
Oh, that's
29
29 for
days.
him, and the 30th day is that his, like the 29 was the 30.
So it'll be the same as if he
Right.
would have counted two separate counts. That may be what the Gemara's kasha is.
I see.
So it's against Rav. Here's mashma that you can't count day 71 for the son also.
But there's too many affairs here. Have you
Oh,
read
you didn't, I didn't do that.
You didn't read it?
You had it. I just read till the pink.
Yeah.
Tashma Sefer,
No.
it says, no, let Achashim, so Shibn, that's the kasha. The Gemara doesn't even explain the kasha.
Oh, that's the kash?
And the answer
So-
is,
My affair was the kash.
no, that's the answer already. The answer is, you know what Achar means? It says Achar Shibin. We're going on this word, Achar Shibin. Achar, this word, Achar. You know what Achar means? Achar.
It means after.
That the word after 70 doesn't mean immediately after 70. It means there could be a case after 70, which means from 72 and on. 71 is not a problem yet.
Right.
A bit later.
Count that
From
extra.
72, then he's going to be more than if it would have been 100 separately and 30 separately. From day 72, it's going to be more than 130 because he's going to do
He has
7,
72 and then he needs 29 to finish for the boy.
but then he still needs
72
another
and
30.
29 is going to be 100. Is what?
101.
101.
Then he's gonna have to do another 30. So now he's behind 31. Now we did lose more than if the son would have been born separately. But the Gemara doesn't like that because aval achar mamish mai achinami de lo sasa. But you want to say that Mishnah only means achar achar. It means not 71, it means 72. But if it would have been 71, then it wouldn't have lost anything. It wouldn't have lost. It would have been only 130. Yachi, my area, the Tani know that at shivim lo hifsit klum. Why does the Mishnah make the distinction point between 70 and 71? You can't. It wouldn't make sense to say that it means 72 because the Mishnah is telling you the cutoff point. It says until 70 he doesn't lose, and
That implies
from there he does lose.
Yes,
you can't tell me.
me.
Right. It's like it says shivim ve'achad. It doesn't mean 72. If it would have just been talking and saying after 70, you want to be matchik and say that it means not right after, it means a little bit more after. After 70 doesn't mean 71, it means 72. We could have tolerated that. But if we're telling you a cutoff point, and we say till 70 is one halacha, and past 70 is something else. So obviously it means immediately after 70. It means 71. Don't push me off and say that after 70 it means 72. After 70 it means 71 because we're contrasting it until 70 and after 70. Again, inside, why does the Mishnah say in the Resha that until 70 he doesn't lose? Which we even said that it means that he gains. Are you saying that even 71 also he doesn't lose? So your dichui is not good. You said achar means achar. It doesn't. Achar means achar. That after 70 he loses, and you're not right. That Rav
This is
said
an argument on Rav.
is right. And the Gemara ends off, not the regular lashon of saying it, yufta the Rav. It doesn't say that. It says the Rav. I don't know what that means. That the Mishnah is the kasha on Rav. Does it say that?
And
Some-
Shmamina is the
Shmamina against Rav.
against Rav.
And even though it says v'chein, it sounds like Rav is right. But you put in the word lesser Rav. And what's the v'chein mean? I'm not sure. But that's the idea that you see from here against Rav. So even though Rav said that day 70 counts for both, the Mishnah doesn't hold like that. The Mishnah knows that day 70 doesn't count for both. It only counts for the son, for the father, day 70, and the count for the son is the next day.
Oh, so that's why Rav doesn't work.
Rav's against the Mishnah. But the Gemara wants to know who does Rav hold like. The rest of the sugi is going to be who does Rav hold like. The Rav, come on, normal Ishmaitis. So who does Rav hold like? If it's not our Mishnah, who does he hold like? And the Gemara's going to look around for the sugya of Mixas Yom Kikulo. Do you find anybody holds Mixas Yom Kikulo? And again, Taisvus asked, what do you mean? The Mishnah is in the next paragraph is going to say again and again. So we said the difference if it's finishing, he finished in the zeros and he was not finished. So the Gemara is going to find things that are comparable to that. So the Gemara knows that there are those who hold Mixas Yom Kikulo. Maybe you have holds like Abishol. What does Abishol talk about? So this talks about when by Avilos, when the 7 days are over, when the 30 days are over. If a person buried his relative 3 days before the Yom Tov, so when the Yom Tov comes, he doesn't have Shiva. Now, everybody knows that Allah is not like that. Allah is even if he did a few minutes before the Yom Tov, and he started Shiva. So as long as he started Shiva, right?
Goes on hold, right?
No, it's Bato.
So what do you mean it's not like it?
Here it says that if somebody buried,
Oh, you're saying it's not only Shloshi.
right? Here it says Shlosh
Even
Yama.
close.
We don't pass like this. We pass that even a few
Even a
minutes that he
minute,
did
yeah.
Shiva,
It's
he
still
started.
Bato.
He took
It's
off the
still Bato.
shoes in the basic chorus. So he was Yotze the Shiva, and now the Yom Tov comes and it stops the Shiva,
Yeah.
and he's
Oh,
finished the
that's-
Shiva. Here doesn't say. Here says 3 days. It has to have at least been 3 days before the regel that he kept 3 days of Shiva. Then the Shiva's knocked down. That's what this Mishnah holds. We don't pass like that. And then we hold that as long as he did any kind of Shiva before the Yom Tov, the Yom Tov knocks off Shiva. And he just continues Shloshim afterwards.
Can I ask you what happens if it's Erev Shabbos after Shkia, after Chatzos Yom? Is that no? I'm asking you. Let's say they buried him at Shkia.
Shabbos doesn't stop Shiva.
Yeah,
Shabbos doesn't stop Shiva. Yom Tov stops Shiva.
Yes, but you can't sit Shiva.
There's Shiva on Erev Shabbos also.
That's what I'm asking.
Shabbos
There is
count
Shiva.
as all the days of Shiva.
There's Shiva Erev Shabbos also.
So then
Yeah,
count,
whatever he has
that
to do
therefore
in-
would count as a day, even if it was in the afternoon of Friday.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Shabbos also counts as a day.
Shabbos is also a day, yeah.
Shabbos also was in the 7.
Wow.
You said Shiva, it's 7 days.
7 days.
Including
It starts today.
I
You do it
understand that,
the-
but how,
how do you do it?
let's just say, I don't think it's possible, but let's just say Sunday is Pesach. It's a Yom
Yom Tov and
Yom
Shabbos
Tov
is very-
is
Yom Tov
Sunday.
and Shabbos is very different. Shabbos doesn't mevatel the Shiva, it just counts. And Yom Tov is mevatel the Shiva. Yom Tov stops Shiva.
Right, so let's just say sometimes Pesach, Leil Pesach is on Motzei Shabbos, correct?
Maybe it's complicated.
No, all I want
That's
to, all I want to know is that if he.
The sugya is a complicated
He came on
enough.
Friday, and then Shabbos he doesn't sit anymore, and then what the Shabbos he's finished with it.
Okay, here the Mishnah holds that he doesn't stop Shiva, he doesn't cancel Shiva only if you have 3 days before the Yom Tov. How about stopping Shloshim? Shmona Yomim Kodem Leregel, but Lamin Gzera Shloshim.
I'm sorry, what was Gezeras?
Gzera Shiva. That means that the Allah is Hilchos Shiva, the Allah of Shiva. If he buried his dead 3 days before the Yom Tov, so the din of Shiva, Gzera Shiva, the din of Shiva are but canceled because he kept 3 days before. We pass can even a minute. How about if he buried his dead 8 days before the regal? That means that not only Shiva was over already, and he started doing Dinei Shloshim. So that and then the regal comes, but then he loses then he cancels the Shloshim. If it would have only been the first case, he doesn't cancel Shloshim, he only cancels the Shiva. He still has to continue Shloshim. But if he even finished the Shiva completely before the regal and even started doing Shloshim, so then when it comes to Yom Tov, it knocks off the Shloshim.
What's the Shmona Yomim saying?
If he buried his dead 8 days before the regal, that means that Shiva, not only Shiva's over, he finished Shiva. And the 8th day means it's a day of Shloshim.
Right.
So then the regal came, then Batlam Menu Gzer Shloshim. If he started the Shiva, it stops Shiva. If he started the Shloshim, it stops Shloshim. Umutal L'Sap Erev Regal, because of that, he'd be allowed to take a haircut now before the Yom Tov, because we canceled for him Shloshim. Shloshim is not allowed to take a haircut. But now that we're canceling it because of the covenant of regal, so he's allowed to take a haircut before the Yom Tov. And in fact, that's the only reason why we did it, because the covenant of regal is what takes down the Shloshim. But if he didn't utilize that heter, then low seeper ever regal, if he didn't utilize the heter to take a haircut before the Yom Tov, so then still that we tell him keep on Shloshim. We only canceled Shloshim in honor of the regal. He didn't utilize it for the honor of the regal, so then Shloshim is on.
You shouldn't mevazeh the regel by cutting his hair on the regel.
I don't- I'm not following.
If he didn't cut his hair Erev regel, then
So.
he can't cut his hair during the regel. Is that
Achar
what
regal,
it's-
achar regal. No, after Yom Tov, he has Shloshim. We're saying that he has Shloshim still.
Oh,
We
a sword
want it
even after.
after
I
the
see.
regal,
Then he has to
because
count
this halacha that the regal cancels the
Oh,
Shloshim is only if the regal is going to benefit from it. But if he didn't benefit the regal, he didn't take a haircut, so then we tell him keep Shloshim after the
keep
regal.
Shloshim.
We just told you we were going to cancel Shloshim because you should have to take a haircut for the regal. So we'll cancel the Isser Shloshim. But if he didn't utilize it, so then he has to keep Shloshim out.
When was it met Niftar? What day was he? When
It says 8 days before the regal. So then he finished Shlosh Sheva and he started Shloshim. So then we tell him Shloshim is canceled and you can take a haircut on this Erev regal, which is the 8th day. But if he didn't, we tell him Shloshim is on. Ahmed Beis,
This is still the.
this is still the Brisa.
Rice.
Abba Shalom, maybe it's a Mishnah, I forgot. Abba Shalom, Afilu lo siper kodem a regal, mutal l'sapa achar regal. Even if he didn't, we're not going to find him that even if he didn't utilize the heter of taking a haircut, he's still allowed. It's cancel Shloshim. But he says something more now, which is not this back to the subject of how many days does he need before the regal in order to cancel Shloshim. Tanakama said 8 days. That's to be every regal. It has to be the 8th day. But he says no. Kishem. It says shekishem, but it's really like a new point. Shekishem shemitzvah shloshim mevatelas gzera shiva kach mitzvah shiva mevatelas gzera shloshim. The same way, if he had 3 days, mitzvah shloshim means if he kept shiva for 3 days, so it's going to take off the halachas of shiva. That's what the Tanakhama said also. So too, shiva, if he kept 7 days, it stops shloshim. Tanakhama said 8 days. And he says 7 days. This is another machlok is going on. One point was if he didn't utilize the heter that we tell him keep the shloshim after. That's one point. That's not our point. Our point is Tanakam holds he has to have 8 days. It has to be that every Yom Tov was the 8th day of his
Full
avelus.
day of Shloshim.
Right. He had to be finished with the shiva, and he went into the shloshim. He went into the 8th day, which is the beginning of which is Shloshim without Shiva.
Without
Shloshim, of course, includes 7 also. It's not 70 plus 30. But the point is that he had to have been finished with the Shiva in order that the Shloshim started. And then the Yantif will knock it down. The Abishol says he doesn't have to have 8 days, even the 7 day. Even 7 days is enough. What's the difference between Abishol and the Rabbanan? If my time is Abishol, Labishum de Kasava, Shvi, Eldo, Lakan. That means that he holds that the 7th day already, 7th day in the morning is already over Shiva. And now the afternoon, the rest of the day could be counting for Shloshim. So, and then the Yantif comes. And if that Yantif is good enough, it gets canceled. So that's not. The Tanakama holds that he has to be the 8th day already, because the whole 7th day just counts for Shiva. And Abishol holds that the morning of the 8th day counts for Shiva, of the 7th day. The morning of the 7th day counts for Shiva, and the afternoon already counts for Shloshim. So
Anyway,
that's,
people get up in the morning of the 7th.
yeah, but the point seems to be here, but can you count it also that it's called Shloshim also? That seems to
That's
be
the question.
what here counted. The comparison to our case is that the Nazirus in the morning counted for his own Nazirus, said day 70, and then the afternoon counts for his son's Nazirus. So that's what the Gemara found. I found somebody that he says the same day could be counting for 2. The morning is counted for Shiva, and the afternoon counts for Shloshim already. So the Gemara thinks that I found somebody like Rav. But the Gemara chat,
And that's the only that we go, that
if day 7,
if 7, then if.
He doesn't have Shloshim
then there's
anymore.
no more Shloshim anymore.
right,
That's-
So we go with our Abishol.
right. But the Gemara says it's still not a right to Rav. This whole thing of the whole din of all din Shiva is Rabbanan. But the right there's no such thing as an Nagas Avelos. So they're only as far as eating kachim. But as far as all the Nagas Avelos that are done, that's only with Rabbanan. So maybe only with Rabbanan he has this leniency of you do the morning for one and the afternoon for something else. But here we're talking about Aval Nazir, the rice alone. But here we're talking about Naziris that he accepted upon himself and Naziris for his son, Naziris for himself. So he's making himself. So maybe about the rice you don't say this leniency. So it's not a riot to Rav yet. El Rav Damak Rav Yossi. We found somebody else that Rav holds like. We'll find the source for Rav.
Rav, the other Lakan.
Right. The Tanya Rav Yossi Yom Shemesh Yom Kineged Yom Sheshachtu V'Zarku Aleh B'Sheni Shala. Shemesh Yom was a woman that first if she sees blood, so then she's in Neder for 7 days. Then she has 11-day period that she's on hold, so to speak. If she sees 1 day, nowadays everything nowadays we don't do all this. Nowadays the woman sees blood anytime, anything. She's tummy for 7 days. She needs 7 clean days. But we're going now into the Raisa, not the minhagim that we do. So if after the 7-day period she was a nida and she went to the mikvah, and now she has 11-day period of it's called Yom Shabbat Ziva Ziva. Those are the names. That's what the words are. So if she sees 1 day, she has to have 1 clean day. She saw blood 1 day, so she has to have 1 clean day. If she saw 2 days blood, she has to have also only 1 more day clean. If she saw 3 days, then she's a Zava Gedola, then she needs 7 clean days. We always do 7 clean days. But here it says, that's called the Shemesh Yom Kineged Yom. The woman who is counting a day for a day means that she saw blood, she has to have that 14th day should be clean. And she's called the Shemesh Yom Kineged Yom. She's counting a day for a day. On her second day, they shechted the Korban Pesach. They did the Shechita and the Zrika. It means that the Erev Pesach, 14, that's when they do the Korban Pesach. For her, she's part of a member of the Korban Pesach. On her second day, means on the day that she wants to be clean. She's hoping to be clean, and she may eat the Korban Pesach at night. But then she saw blood. After the Shechita and the Zrika, so she's surely not going to eat the Korban Pesach tonight. She's stomach. But the question, the Sheni Shalom on her second day, it means that she saw blood. Right, Sheni Shalom on her second day. That means that she saw 1 day. She saw on the 13th of Nisan, and the next day is called her second day, which has to be clean. So she's hoping that she's going to be taught the rest of the day, and they shechted the korban for her. We hope tonight to be able to eat. But then she comes in, she says she saw blood again.
Shani here means
Her
in our
second
case,
day.
the 14th.
Right.
Nisan.
Right, because it's her second day that she saw blood yesterday, and she needs today to be clean. And they shechted one; they thought that's going to be clean, but it wasn't. And then she saw blood. So could she come Pesach at night? Surely not. She's tummy. She's a Areza Enochelas. But does she have to bring Pesach Sheni? So here, Pesach Sheni has to do not if you eat the Korban Pesach. Pesach Sheni has to do if you brought the Korban Pesach. That means if somebody brought the Korban Pesach kosher, halachically, he was yotze the shechita of the Korban Pesach, and then for some reason he wasn't able to eat it, he still doesn't bring a Pesach Sheni. Pesach Sheni is only if you were not yotze the mitzvah shechita. But if you didn't eat it, he still doesn't bring a Korban Pesach. So here it says she can't eat the Korban Pesach because she's tamei, but she doesn't have to do a Pesach Sheni
Right.
because the shechita was kosher. What was the
They did a
shechita?
shechita- They did a shechita on the afternoon of their.
Yeah, like the way he's supposed to.
What was the what was the rasa?
But in the night.
She saw blood.
She saw blood. But she couldn't eat.
In the whole Shas, whenever it says the woman saw, it means she saw blood.
But she's not Yosef.
Oh,
Even
they
though she-
checked it,
even
and
though
then after they checked it, she saw.
Right,
You
so
did-
the question is, was she also the Korban
That's
Pesach?
the point.
What?
She was not.
Why not?
She didn't read it.
I thought we
She
said.
was not in need at the time that they shechted it. At the time that they shechted it, yesterday, on the 13th, she saw blood. In the morning, she woke up on the 14th, and she didn't see blood. So this is her clean day. And then she saw blood later on in the
Clean day is
afternoon.
not clean until the end of the day.
Oh, do you hold Mixas Yom Kikulo?
Um,
Oh, that's the question.
Yeah, but
Do you hold Mixas Yom Kikulo?
not here.
Why not?
Blood. Ooh.
Mixas Yom Kikulo. She she needed 1 day clean,
Oh.
and she had 1 day clean. Did she have a whole day clean? She didn't have a whole day clean, but she had the beginning of the day clean.
I don't think it's strong
So
enough.
Rabbi Yossi seems to say, he said patur Pesach Sheni. Of course, she doesn't need to come Pesach because she's tamei at night. But he says she doesn't need to come Pesach Sheni because she was in Korban Pesach Sheni. Why was she
you
also
would
in
say
Korban
because
Pesach?
she was counted in the.
In the
She was
Chavurah.
part of Chabu, and they shechted for her, and it was a good shechita
and it a
because
good
she was
shechita.
because she
But
was
she was-
Torah. She was clean at
She
the
was
time.
tahar at that moment.
My time at Rabbi Yossi must be Lav Mishum Desava, Mixas Yom Kikulo,
Ah,
and skip these 4 red lines, red
no,
words.
It's not shy.
And Mikan Labo Matame. And only gave you tummy from when she sees the blood, but she was Torah in the morning. So the Gemara is happy with Ram. The Gemara found the source for Ram.
By this one.
This is Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi holds that she's Yossi the Korban Pesach because in the morning,
Rabbi Yossi Hatana.
Yossi the Tana. Rabbi Yossi holds that she was Yossi the Korban Pesach because she saw even because the morning was clean, even though in the afternoon she saw the blood, but she was Yossi the Korban Pesach because she was Torah at that time.
Where does the argument end? That is like Rabbi Yossi after Achi.
Ikanu haba.
Sometime end of the line, the Tame.
Mhm.
That's
We-
it.
The Gemara challenges this. Umi sav Rabbi Yossi Hachi. Does Rabbi Yossi hold like that? That mixed Yom Kikulo? But Tanya Rabbi Yossi Omer, Zav Baal Shtei Riyos, Sheshachtu v'zarku alav v'shvi, v'chein shemeres Yom Keneged Yom Sheshachtu v'zarku alav, v'yacha kachro, Af al pi shemetam v'mishkav v'moshav v'mafreya, v'tum v'lasas Pesach Sheni. Well, let's take out of this, we'll do the whole thing, but just to extract what we're looking for. We're looking for that it says in this brisa that this mamish case we talked about, Shomeres Yom Keneged Yom, this woman who saw 1 day and now she's keeping a clean day, and they shechted the Korban Pesach for her, and then she saw. It says that the Metamei Lamafreya. That means that even at the time that she was clean in the morning, if she touched something, she was tamei. We look now
We look
retroactively.
at it as if she-
When she saw blood afterwards in the afternoon, let's say we're talking about the 13th and the 14th, she saw blood on the 13th, she's counting the 14th to be clean. And the morning was clean, she went to the mikvah, and then later on she saw blood. So we don't say that she's only tummy from now on. We say she's tummy from the morning. The whole time was tummy. And if she touched something in the morning, kachim, truma, it's tummy because she's tummy retroactively. That's a contradiction in Rabbi Yossi. Because if you say mixed yom kikulo, so she was Torah at that time. She became tummy later on. And here Rabbi Yossi says, I'll just emphasize the count. Yes, go ahead.
Isn't part of the price we're going to do next word poetry?
And Ketuba Lasses Pesach Sheni, right? The price is over at the
So
next
it's
words.
going to end the same way that she's putter.
Yeah, that part you're right, but it does say Metamin Mishkav Moshe Lamafreya. That's what Mars' problem. And you're right that it happens. The horror is contradicting itself. It says on one hand, Pater Malasses Pesach Sheni. That's the same as we said that she was Yosef because she was kosher at that time. She was Torah, and in the same breath, you say that she's Tamei retroactively. So that's what the Gemara doesn't see. That doesn't make sense. That's a contradiction in Rabbi Yossi.
A true yom is that coming?
What is that?
A true yom is that coming?
A Tful Yom, it seems that a Tful Yom would be enough to be able to be the Korban Pesach. The Tful Yom would
And
be Korban
it's
Pesach.
not, and that, it's not coming, Marshal Moshe.
But if she be Tameh, then it wouldn't be able to be, then not
Right.
kosher to be the Korban Pesach. At night, of course, she has to be also after Erev Shemesh. At night,
Yeah.
in order to touch him, but in order to be Yotzei, the Shechita, it's enough that she be a Tful, enough that she be a Tful Yom. But here the Gemara is asking Kasha, if Rabbi Yossi holds Mix Yom Kikulo, and she's Torah from when she had the beginning of the day clean and she went to the mikvah, how come it says that she's Tameh retroactively?
And I hear the question, but also it seems like if she got tummy later in the day, it means that anything that she touched earlier is going to be tummy.
That's what it says.
Then it seems like then it's also mitzvah is like kulo because
Ah,
she was tummy 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but it's going to be like the whole
No,
day.
no, she was Tameh yesterday. She saw on the 13th. And now we want to know if she got out of it. Did she get out of that tumah? She has to be Shomer Mixas Yom, and she has to have Shemesh Yom Kineged Yom. She has to have a Torah day and then go to the mikvah in
Oh,
order to get off
this is
the tumah of
second
yesterday.
cycle.
It isn't stand that a woman saw
Yeah.
in the afternoon, she became Tameh, says she's Tameh in the morning. Surely not.
Oh, it
It's
means that it
because
continues.
she never
Proves
got
that
out of it. She never got out of yesterday's
Oh,
tumah. So that's a contradiction of Yossi. If Yossi Mixas Yom Kivulo, so then how come you say that it's Tameh retroactively? The Gemara answers, Ma'ila Mafreya Midrabanan. This is the answer.
Uh-huh.
That it's a contradiction. It says that she's Yossi to come Pesach and she's somebody from the morning. How could that be? The answer is it's only with Rabbanan
The
that
Rabbanan were careful that we're going to say everything.
she's Tamei Lamafreya, but really she's not.
I think that was. Uh-huh.
Then we'll stop here for today. We're middle of the Gemara, but we'll stop
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
you go.
right now, Rabbi Yossi's still okay.
Right. So Rav found Rabbi Yossi. Rav found Rabbi Yossi.
I see.
how about we, what do you say?
Still the green.
Part of
Mafreya
the day
Midrabanan.
can be considered the whole day.
Right. And even though and the hot part and the beginning is for one purpose and the afternoon is a different purpose.
Does anyone mind if I lower the heat?
Yeah,
It's still cold? Okay. So when you get.
Yes, you go, everybody. We'll be back. Today is
If you get, if
Tuesday
you get.
It's Tuesday.
If you
with
get-
Pirkei Avos.
If you got-
A little
if you
break.
get-
Okay.